The Venom Let There Be Carnage trailer just dropped, and there's a lot to unpack, so let's talk about it. I'm the Beardo, and this is a trailer I just watched. Going into the news of the first movie, I was really excited about the idea that they were going to be doing a Venom movie, finally. I really like the character in the comic books. You know, he has a great arc. It goes from being just a psychopathic murder villain to being a pretty entertaining and interesting anti-hero, and then just a legitimate hero. And I guess I've kind of lost track of his storyline. Now he's like the most powerful being in the universe, or he was in one of the storylines.
We can do whatever we want.
That being said, the news of them making the movie quickly turned into confusion as Sony decided to not include Spider-Man. What a weird choice. He's a Spider-Man villain. This is an origin story. But I gave the benefit of the doubt. I was just that excited to see Venom on screen. And then I found out that Tom Hardy was going to be in it. And yeah, that kind of hyped me up a little bit. I like Tom Hardy. And then we found out that it was going to be PG-13. And I just sort of threw my hands up and was like, whatever. Sony clearly doesn't really understand what to do with these IPs.
I like being bad. It makes me happy.
The numbers have proven that rated R movies do fine, and this was definitely a character that could lend itself to a rated R movie. The second I found out it was PG-13, I got Spawn vibes straight away.
What in tarnation?
Like, great, we're gonna see this amazing character just watered the down. And we did. That's exactly what happened. The movie was pretty meh. I forgot most of it. You know, if you asked me any scene that I really liked, I don't think I could name one. I could remember certain parts of the movie, but nothing stood out. Nothing was really memorable, except for maybe the end scene with Cletus.
Hi, Eddie.
Man, Woody Harrelson was super weird in that. He was cringy. He really reminded me of Jesse Zuckerberg, Eisenberg, whatever, trying to be super cool and crazy and weird and edgy. Batman vs. Superman definitely had those same vibes. And it was a complete and utter turnoff. I really wasn't sure they were even going to do a sequel, because if that was the direction they were going to take the sequel, I wasn't on board. Then they, surprised me, and they announced that they were going to be doing a sequel. And as soon as they announced it, I forgot all about it. It wasn't on my radar. Then, just the other day, the trailer dropped, and I gave it a watch. I didn't go into it with any expectations. I actually had some pretty low expectations. Trailer opens up with Eddie's apartment. Eddie is trying to domestically live with the symbiote. There's a sign written that says "Do not eat people," kind of a callback to the rules that Eddie had, is cannot eat people. You know, there's M&M wrappers all over the place. It's a pigsty. It's just a complete mess. And they're cooking this fancy crazy breakfast while singing along to some, old show-tuney sounding songs.
I say either. You say either.
And then they throw it all together, and it's this big comedic kind of like, haha.
Ta-da!
Eddie and Venom are finally learning how to get along. And then it flashes to Eddie going into the store. He says hi to Miss Chen. She says hi back to him and Venom. So now there's an understanding of that relationship, that the two are one. And it's just more like, hey, Eddie's trying to figure this out. And then Eddie's going to prison. At this point, the song One by Henry Nielsen's, picked up. It's a pretty good choice for the trailer. It's got a nice vibe. They give it some sound effects later on that kind of build the song to a crescendo, which I really liked. Once Eddie's at the prison, Woody takes over. He's narrating. It's a much calmer version of Cletus. It's more the kind of weird, sinister that I would expect out of Woody Harrelson. I was really hoping for some natural-born killer, crazy kind of vibes. That's the version of Woody that needs to make an appearance. And I'm still kind of hopeful. If he can pull it off, he'll make the movie worth watching. They gave him a haircut, which is good. That first haircut was just... Why would they choose that? Because that wig they gave him was just the worst. Like... God. While Cletus is talking about how him and Eddie are one and the same, they leave people needing help or some other thing, it ends with this sort of him talking about how he misses Eddie. And in that whole sequence, we kind of just get a glimpse inside the head of Cletus. They show his cell, writings and scribblings all over the cell, hitting the wall and smushing a spider, and it just lets us know that this serial killer is in fact crazy. I don't know how much of that we actually needed to know in the trailer. I guess for non-fans, it's a good sort of just quick, this guy's no good. Overall, that whole sequence, kind of just turned me around on how Cletus might be portrayed. And then they hook Cletus up, to be killed by lethal injection. And then the symbiote stops it and he turns into Carnage. And then there's like some quick cut, action scenes that are probably out of order. And finally, for the first time, we get actual Carnage on screen. It's pretty epic. for like a second. And then I can't help but remember how god-awful the original CGI was. Man, there was a lot of issues with that first movie. The weird Ja Rule voice that Venom was doing, Eddie not really responding to the fact that he was attached to a murderous alien entity, but the CGI, it looked like Venom was secreting lube the whole time. He was really sickly, gooey, and wet seeming all the time. And then here we have Carnage up on screen for the first time. That felt more like a video game cutscene than it did any scene from a movie, which, you know, just doesn't make me feel really good about their CGI choices, and that's not a feeling you should have. It is the trailer. There's a lot of time for them to make some changes. We saw what happened with Sonic.
What in tarnation?
You know, maybe they add some tweaks and they take out some goo, bring that wetness level down. You know, it's just a slider, I'm sure, just like wet, not so wet. So after the big reveal, it cuts to probably the continuation of the back and forth between Venom, Eddie, and Mrs. Chen that started in the beginning, which is kind of a nice way to wrap up the trailer, I thought. I think I'm gonna like the interaction with some of these characters that know about both of them.
No, you cannot eat, Mrs. Chen. What?
It's fine that there's a little bit of humor. Dark humor is always appreciated by me. Hopefully that fits the tone. Like, you can't go too dark humor and almost whimsical like they did with that first scene where Venom's happily making, you know, some food, and then suddenly we're watching Carnage PG-13 kill his way through a whole bunch of people. I fear that there's going to be some juxtaposition there that's just not going to work. But again, it's a trailer. No expectations going into this movie. And given that, I'm hesitant to be super excited about this or even excited at all. I'm hopeful. And so for that reason alone, I give this 2 out of 5 hype trains. I hope I am proven wrong. That would be fantastic. If you like the content, do the thing. I'm the Beardo, and thanks for watching.